So recently I canceled my Netflix subscription. I know that sounds very insignificant, and that's because it kind of is. But for me, I just thought it was kind of like a cool, I guess, realization of something. Before I start, I need to establish that I have a fairly addictive personality, I think, and the concept of being able to watch The Office whenever I want to on a small device at the touch of a button just really plays into that. Jay wakes up, he goes to the bathroom, TMI probably, but he watches Netflix. Jay goes down, has breakfast, munches on his cereal, and as he's doing so, he's watching Netflix. Jay gets in his car, drives down the highway at about 110 kilometers an hour, and what does he do? He keeps his eyes on the road. I'm not an idiot. But my point is that with me, a lot of times, if it's something that I find very addicting, there's no halfway. And I also came to the complete realization that I just did not have the time. Basically, I hit a wall where I said, okay, I really like making YouTube videos. I would like to do more than that. I still don't spend enough time doing that. I need to get in the Bible for a solid amount every day. I need to read other Christian books every day to get that solid learning in. And with the amount of time that Netflix was stealing for me, or technically I guess I was stealing from myself, there just wasn't enough time for that. You only have 24 hours in a day. Netflix is not a sin. It's not this thing of like, yo, I gotta cut this out of my life because it's bad. Netflix isn't bad in and of itself. Sometimes stuff isn't bad, but you have to cut it out of your life because you just have other priorities. You say, well, this is sad. This is a good thing. I'd like to do this. I can't because this other stuff's more important. I also realize that this is a really good thing to understand now because as you move on in your life, you have a full-time job, you have a family if the Lord wills. With all that commitment, you gotta cut a lot of stuff out of your life. That isn't even necessarily bad. It just needs to go. You might be watching this thinking like, I'm an idiot. Why am I just realizing this now? I knew that before, but this is just a moment where it hit me, where this was probably like the clearest example of this. It was like a moment I noticed like, this is the first step of like 100 steps in your life of doing this. It's also good as believers to recognize that the Bible talks about disciplining yourself for godliness. It basically compares the pursuit of godliness and Christ-likeness to the pursuit of athletic excellence. So I actually know several people around my age that have been drafted to the NHL. When I think of those guys and what they had to do to reach that level, I think about all the sacrifices they made, all the social events they might have missed out on. They filled their summers with working out 7 hours a week and shooting 1,000 pucks a day and cutting out a lot of unhealthy foods from their life. Stuff that most people partake in, and it's fine, there's nothing wrong partaking in those things, but they said, nope, I have this higher desire, hey, that rhymed, this higher pursuit that is worth more to me. This is how we should be living as believers, and I think we often forget that. We should all be actively committed to pursuing godliness and Christ-likeness, just like these dudes are actively pursuing athletic excellence. So this means you get in the Word regularly, you pray regularly, you're very committed to your church and involved there. You are involved in service somehow. Maybe you're mentoring someone, maybe you're being mentored, you're reading Christian books for that extra knowledge of God. You're committing yourself to these activities for godliness and Christ-likeness. If you, the person watching this right now, was fully committed to doing all of those things regularly as your work/school schedule and family schedule allowed, you would be cutting something out of your life. You would have to. All I'm saying is that odds are you're not doing all of those things as regularly as you could and you should. I don't either. We're humans and we often struggle with consistency. But if you were able to consistently do all those things as you could and should, you would definitely have to cut something out of your life. That thing may not necessarily be bad, but there's just not enough time in the day. You may look around and see all the non-Christians around you. They don't care. They don't have to spend all this time committing themselves to godliness, but you have a higher calling. I'm going to compare you as a Christian to the guy that really wants to make the NHL, so he's going to bed at 10 p.m. on a Friday night because he has a game the next day. Meanwhile, all his friends are out partying because it's Friday night. All I'm saying is don't be afraid with the concept of cutting something out of your life that isn't bad, it isn't wrong, but you have higher priorities. That's all I really had to say. I hope that made sense and that I was articulate enough, and take that with you throughout your week. Shoot, that sounded kind of pretentious. Was that pretentious?